This is Charles Clinton from the Heart of Medicine, and I'm currently finishing my last ICU rotation before I move on to fellowship. And this is, of course, my second time around doing residency, so I already know how residency usually works. This short video is going to be specifically of how life becomes when you're in the ICU rotation. So life changes, everything changes. The proportionality of life changes. The way you appreciate time changes. So when you're in these certain slow rotations, such as electives, right? You have sometimes more free time than you have been used to in general, and you might be sitting on your couch and just being there, not doing anything, scrolling through social media, whatever, who cares? You just scroll, and when you know, maybe 2 hours have passed by, and you have your weekends off, and you're chilling and all that. But when you're in the ICU and you have this rotation that you might have one day off in almost 15 days of work, and you have to work almost 12 hours that actually become 13 to almost 14 hours daily, that you barely see your family, that you barely speak to your family, that you just get home, basically eat something, go to sleep, you wake up and, oh man, it's already, I have to go to work in 45 minutes, an hour. When that happens, and when you get at work, you're bombarded by admissions and work. As soon as you get it to work, you're like, where are my co-residents for sign out? They're not even there because they're at a code. You're like, okay, where's the code? And you get there and you start helping in the code, and then they come, they sign out. As soon as they sign out, while they're signing out, your ICU attending sends you 2 new admits. And you're like, okay, well, give me a second, team. So you read them real quick. Do I have to see them right now? And the attending says, I want you to see them now. And you're like, but what do I do? Like, I have to finish sign out, but I also have to go see these patients. And while that is happening, the patient that had just coded codes again. And now you're like, okay, well, what did we decide with it? Did we call family about this patient? What's going on? And that happens, and sometimes it's straight throughout the entire shift. You're there 12 hours, and when you're finishing, when you're ready to sign out, you're not even ready because you're working on a last admission, the 8th admission of the night, and your intern is trying to place an arterial line, and it's 6:45 a.m. and sign out is 6:45. And you actually tell the new team, the morning team, wait, we're working on a note, we'll sign out in a little bit. And you start signing out by 7:30 a.m. You're already eating part of your time off. So when that thing happens, day after day, you forget to check social media. You don't care about social media. It's like, no, I don't have time. Like, social media, what? I don't care. It's the inauguration of the president, new president's inauguration speech. You're like, I don't have time. I don't care. The trivial things, the banal, trivial things of life just disappear. You don't care about any of these things. And when you actually have a day off like today, you can rest, you can sleep. You're like, wow, this is incredible. You appreciate life so much. You appreciate every little breath you take. You even appreciate being able to just sit on the couch. Things you took for granted become so important to you, and it's so peaceful, and it's so incredible. So my point with this little talk is how scarcity generates wealth, right? We already know that what is scarce becomes something you usually want. It's in life basically like that for everything. When you have no time in the ICU, no time for yourself. You can barely eat something between a code or between notes. You get home and you're able to eat in peace without having to have the phone there because a code is going to go off. You're like, this is so great. So I would recommend you guys to, appreciate every moment. Sometimes in life we need the darkness to understand when there is light, and sometimes those things are important. There's no way to appreciate the good without going through the bad and the horrible. So I love ICU, I love critical care, but anything you love that is just non-stop, you will get to be like, I want to get out of here, right? Let's finish this. So yeah, even if you like it, it's a tough rotation. At least in my program, is a very tough schedule, but I make the best of it. But my point here is learn to appreciate those moments you're out. Like if you're in these rotations and then you get time off, don't spend your time off going through the charts of the patients and seeing what has happened to this patient and that patient. You'll burn out in a couple weeks. Once you're out of the hospital, disconnect. Do all you can in the hospital, but you know that you work so hard, it's probably gonna be time to disconnect because tomorrow you have to get there with 100% battery again. If you are in a easy rotation and you want to go home to read, well, yeah, go do it because you won't be burnt out next day. But you have to take care of yourself. And yeah, tell me your thoughts in what's your toughest rotation in residency. I'm internal medicine, so my toughest is definitely critical care. It's the one I most I love it. I love it, but of course it's very fatiguing. My last day in critical care medicine, my last night shift, I tubed 4 patients. We admitted about 7 patients, I think. Other procedures. You learn a whole lot. You learn more. When you're placed out of your comfort zone, you will learn more. Try to place yourself out of your comfort zone. But don't suffer, right? Try not to suffer because things are already bad enough the way they are. Just having to work even in something you love for 14 hours a day, yeah, you're gonna suffer a little, right? So don't make it worse than necessary. Be ready to compensate and buffer 14-hour long shifts. So do burpees. I love to do burpees. I'll do that instead of drinking any energy drink because the energy drink won't help me in 10 years. Those burpees will help me in 10 years. So take care of yourself and share with your family. Remember that when you're home, when you come home from ICU, you have this ICU mentality, and everything that is non-emergent you don't care because you're always hearing all these things. Your nurse tells you, hey, can I get a Tylenol for this patient? And all of a sudden a code blue goes down. So you, of course, go to the code and you later see the Tylenol, and you have to be triaging absolutely everything. When you get home, I know it's easy that if your wife asks you, hey, you haven't washed the dishes, you can just be like, who cares? That can wait another day. Watch out with those answers, right? You can get in trouble. I've already gotten in trouble in the past. So you have to change your mindset and be like, okay, now we're back to a slower mode of life, right? We're not in the ICU that, is the patient dying or no? Okay, no, get back to me in 30 minutes. Yes, we're there. Because sometimes you have 2 patients dying at the same time, and you have to be like, okay, I'm going to this one, and the intern go over there, and the attendant's going over there, I'll handle this. But if you're not having to deal with those things, calm down. Calm down and everything will be better. So yeah, tell me your thoughts, tell me your opinions, and that's it with this one.